Tell me how this very good-looking American guy, Darrin, happens to be sitting opposite us tonight.
Well, we had a call on Wednesday night's program from a guy in Ohio, in the United States.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yes, and he's flown out to Australia, and he's done more in this last couple of days since he got here. Since Wednesday, it was 4 nights ago that he rang us from Ohio, and he's here.
Well, when was that?
Wednesday.
Yeah, well, that would have been Tuesday for him because he's a day behind, remember?
It would have been Wednesday morning.
Yeah, so it hasn't taken as long as you think.
Well done, Mr. World Clock. Darrin joins us from Ohio in the studio. Hello there.
Hello, guys. Great to be here.
Good to meet you. Now, do I sound... You've heard Bruce and Phil on the air, on your computer. Do I look like you would have imagined?
Yes.
How disappointing.
How did you come to tune into us in the first place?
Listen to a lot of talk radio back home, and over the years have also developed an interest in Australia, and with the advent of the internet, listening online, listening on internet radio. Then you got the app activated a couple years ago, whenever that was.
Sure.
So it's very simple, and you guys are my morning wake-up show.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It's fabulous. Have you converted your friends to be listeners as well, or do they all think you're mad listening to radio in a foreign country?
They think it's random, because most folks kind of say, where's Australia and how far away is it? So, but it's fun to teach them, and especially with how much we have in common.
Well, we've got an inferiority complex here, because we're little tiny Australia, a nice big block of land that we live on, but we're not that well known to places in the northern hemisphere, and we tend to figure that most Americans wouldn't know Australia from Austria, but clearly you do. You managed to get here.
Absolutely, yeah. So I left about 4 p.m. my time last Wednesday, and 27 hours later, touchdown.
Which airline?
It was Qantas.
Comfortable? Good flight?
It was very nice, actually.
Your first time here in Australia?
It is my first time, and really my first time overseas, maybe a quick trip into Canada and Mexico, but that doesn't count.
If I didn't have cellulitis, I'd be giving you a good time around Melbourne, but I'm housebound. Sadly, I'm not allowed to go anywhere at the moment.
You guys have plenty of fun in here, it sounds like.
I'm sorry you can't meet Bruce. He's overseas at the moment. He would have loved to have met you. How long are you in town?
Through Wednesday.
Okay.
And then go over to Sydney, and then fly out of Sydney.
And I think you might be a sports fanatic as well.
Yes. I've already been to 3 Australian rules football games, footy games.
3 footy games since you touched down only a couple of days ago. And that's the thing that it really impressed me. You hear American gentleman hears the radio show, comes to Australia, great, and you think, passing fan, little interest in the country, and he's come out here for a bit of a holiday, that's fine. But when you hear that he's then attended 3 football matches, that's someone who has devoted a fair amount of time into being interested in the country.
And can you pick up the rules okay? Have you watched it on TV back home?
Been watching it for years. Watched it when I was a kid. That's one of the first things I remember being interested in Australia when ESPN was very young. I mentioned this on Wednesday. My dad and I would watch it. We didn't know what was going on. They were dodging seagulls and running all over the place. And then literally with technology the last few years, I subscribe to the AFL online and can watch games there. Fox broadcasts some on the TV back home. So it's great. I have converted a number of friends into Aussie Rules fans because, frankly, it's a game that a lot of Americans can and should like when they see how much it has in common with a lot of our sports.
We've got a guy who listens to us in Denmark, a guy named Mick, who is an Australian but now living in Denmark, and he's started up a football league, an Australian rules football league in Denmark. Do you know, is there anything like that around where you are?
Actually, there is. My playing days are behind me, but there is a men's team and a women's club team in Columbus. I had no idea, and I just found out about this a few months ago. There's one in Nashville. There's a handful across the country, so there are folks trying to play. My focus would be more just trying to get people to become fans of it. And I explained to people, I said this to some folks about how it has the hard-hitting physicality of American football, the high scoring of basketball, the wide openness and speed of soccer, and the history and tradition of baseball is how I view it. And I flip a lot of people's minds when I explain to them, being from Cincinnati, home of the Cincinnati Reds, the first pro baseball team founded in 1869. My favorite team over here, Geelong and Melbourne, 10 years earlier in 1859. People just can't believe that. So, but we Americans appreciate that history and tradition.
I love the way you summarised it. I reckon if Andrew Demetriou is listening, he's probably going to have that put in a plaque and hang it above his door, I would think.
You Americans, you're so fluent in so few words, you tell a story. What sports do you play yourself, Darrin?
I grew up mostly playing basketball. Played a lot of soccer as a kid.
Okay.
So.
Well, you're so welcome in Melbourne. And
if ever you move over here, I'm in need of coaches for the basketball league I'm secretary for, so
it's a great
we've got a job for you.
I do want to make sure I do have a gift here for the studio, but I want to present this to Phil. The look on your face, you're wondering, what could this possibly be?
These beads, tell me.
This is our official, so I'm an Ohio State graduate. Ohio State is a lot of power in football tradition. We're a football power in the U.S., and that is a Buckeye necklace. The Buckeyes are our state tree. A lot of people think it's kind of weird because a Buckeye is basically it's a poisonous nut.
Yeah.
But appropriate to give it to Phil then.
But that necklace right there, folks will make their own or they'll sell them on game days. Some people wear one. I've seen people wear 15 or 20 around their neck to go to football games. We like to think it brings a little good luck, too.
Darrin, I will treasure that, and thank you so much for the gift. And as a matter of fact, I am, as you know, I'm in hospital at the moment, so I can't entertain you in Melbourne. But seriously, if while you're in town till Wednesday, you would like to go to the zoo, the aquarium, Eureka Sky Deck for the view of Melbourne, Sovereign Hill Ballarat where they pan for gold, Puffing Billy where the steam train is and the Dandenongs, please give me a call and I will set it up for you.
Fair enough.
And if you have a friend you'd like to take with you, you'll be very welcome.
I appreciate that opportunity.
You've got my cell phone number there and I'll hope you'll give me a call.
Great.
Now, just two things from me before you go. I want to know, back home, is it similar to Australia? Is there, the architecture similar, or is it completely different? Is it foreign to be here, or are there some reminders of home?
A lot. There's many times I've just said, if you close your eyes and open them, you could be in almost any American city. I mean, it's larger in most cities. It's larger than Cincinnati and Columbus, for sure. But there are a lot of similarities, and clearly we see a lot of American companies here, whether they be restaurants or cars or
Macca's and Hungry Jack's or Burger King as it is there, yeah.
Right. So there's a lot in common, but that's what's cool about it. There's a lot in common, but there's also enough that makes it different, unique, and I would encourage anybody certainly it's worth the trip.
Now, the other thing, we have a gift in return to you.
Fantastic.
Just a little 3AW show bag, which has a 3AW hat and some other bits and pieces. I think there's a torch in there, just in case you get lost around Melbourne.
Appreciate that. My wife loves tote bags, so
great.
Okay, this will be well received.
She can have the bag, you can wear the baseball cap, and anyone who looks at it and wonders what the heck is 3AW, you're then going to have to explain to them.
And I must tell you finally that I imagine for you that Melbourne is a bit like Cincinnati was maybe 20 years ago. We're just that little bit behind, and maybe that's our charm. But I have to tell you that in 1972, when I went to the moonshot at the Cape of Apollo 16, I met a guy called Roger Auger, and he took me to Cincinnati, and I had a lovely weekend. And before we moved on to Louisville and went to see where the Kentucky Derby is run and so on, and he happened to be a colonel of the charitable colonel, like Kentucky colonel, and he made me an honorary one as well. And you've probably heard of the Kentucky colonel. So you are actually addressing a Kentucky colonel here tonight in the studio.
Was that the title you used to get out of that speeding fine?
Yes, it helped a bit, So there's Harlan Sanders, and there's Elvis's manager as well, Colonel Tom Parker, and now you've met Colonel Philip Brady.
Well, nice to meet you, sir. We'll have to make you an Ohio Commodore next.
Oh, I'll enjoy that. I hope to hear from you before you leave town, Darrin.
All right, gentlemen. We'll have to get you out to an Ohio State game. Reds, Bengals.
Wouldn't that be nice? We'll try and get over there sometime.
Please do.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Lovely to meet you. We must break now because after the break we cross to the other side of the world. It's a very big international show tonight.
This will impress Darrin.
Let's see if we can get hold of Bruce Mansfield.